Hey, and hello. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. We are back here again. Yes, we keep coming back to this place, it seems. I'm glad you guys keep coming back. It's my happy place, and it's even happier when you guys are here sharing it with me and co-creating it with me. So feel free to say hello and comment and ask my guests questions if you are so inclined, but participate. I would love to have it to be a little more active. I know you guys are always there, but I am trying to inspire you guys to participate a little bit, because that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it a connection. For me, the live stream of consciousness is a great place to just have conversations and create some space for some amazing people, and just raise the vibration by just talking about things that are positive and good and common to all of us. I came to some realizations recently. I'm going to talk about who I am. I see some people out there saying hello. What's up, Carrie Ann? How you doing? What's up, Jilly? We got Ninja Kitty out there saying hello. What's up, ladies? Good to see everybody. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's the spiritual journey. Not my favorite term, but life. Let's call it life. You know what? I think that's what I'm going to do from now on. Whenever I refer to the spiritual journey, I'm just going to say life. You mean life? You're talking about life, because that's what it is, right? Um, it's just been so amazing, and the live stream has evolved into me meeting some new people. And tonight's guest, I'm going to call her Dara. I know I billed the show as Dara Weiss Miller. But doing some research into her website, I see that she just kind of likes Dara, and that's cool because I like Michael, and I tell people that's what I like, and they call me whatever they want, and if they call me Michael, I like it, right? So it's all about that energy exchange. Um, but tonight's guest is was really interesting to me, through Carrie Ann, because she's actually gifted in all of the Clair senses. So I'm gonna let her talk about that. But those are some of the metaphysical senses that people talk about, some of the psychic abilities, the different extra perception senses, let's call it that, that people possess and use in different ways to mostly heal. I mean, even if you think about clairvoyant, the most basic of the clairs, which is somebody who, I believe, I forgot the definitions now, but usually you think of a clairvoyant as somebody who speaks or sees people who have passed on to the another realm. And to me, even that's healing when you see people who are having experiences with clairvoyance, who just see things and bring through messages that are relevant. It's just an amazing thing. We've got Natalie saying hello as well. So what's up, Natalie? Anyway, again, I'm super happy about the way the show is evolving, and I can never thank you guys enough for being here, and thank Carrie Ann for helping me out with filling up the calendar a little bit. But I am going to bring on our guests and start creating some space. I'm going to welcome to the show Dara. Hey there,
Hi.
how you doing?
Hi. Thank you for sharing space, for letting me share space with you.
Yeah, thank you for coming. I love the. I realized I was talking about coming to some realizations. I realized the trust that I'm given by people coming on my show, and just kind of
Absolutely.
opening up, because so many times in these conversations everybody opens up. We both open up to each other, and we just talk about where we are right now in life. I was going to say
Absolutely.
the spiritual journey, but where we are in life, and 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 we're crossing paths right now live on a broadcast. So that's a pretty cool thing, I think.
I think it happens for a reason. And the people that are tuning in, they're supposed to be listening to us for that reason.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the cool thing is they probably all think the same thing, which is
Hmm.
makes it even more important, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. So we've got another hello for you there. Thanks for bringing your crew
Hi,
to
guys.
my space. It really is appreciated. I think that's how the message is going to grow, and that was the realization that I came to today. And I talked to a lot of the people that I know about it. Is all of these amazing people who have these gifts, and I've never really tuned into those specific gifts, although I know it's there. It just hasn't been calling me to tune into it, right? And
Mhm.
so I'm just like, you wander through and you're trying to figure out what's your purpose, not necessarily what's your gift, because I feel like we all have so many gifts that we can explore at any time, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I think my gift is this, creating the space so whoever's out there sees you and it resonates for some reason or the other, because that's always what seems to happen. So that being
Absolutely.
said, I'm talking a lot, but that being said, I want to talk about you,
Okay.
and I want to ask you the question that I ask all of my guests,
Okay.
and that is, what's your definition of consciousness? And I'm sure this is going to be interesting because you have all of these other senses to perceive it with,
And everyone has a different definition of consciousness.
which is what's so great about that question.
Absolutely. So I feel that I think that my definition of consciousness is different on different levels. But I think that um, awareness, oneness. Obviously, I think there's love consciousness. I think there's God consciousness. I think that
Mhm.
there's, or whatever someone would want to call that.
Mhm, mhm,
I think there's oneness, but I think it's really within you and what you
mhm,
find within yourself and how you evolve and how that is just the essence of your soul and how it just that energy evolves and
mhm,
how that consciousness of is just evolves and the more you evolve, the more that essence just keeps going into a higher level,
mhm,
and whatever
mhm.
you want to call it, whether it's love or God consciousness or whatever that is that you call it, is just a higher level of consciousness.
Right, right. A
um
different perception of it as you're evolving, the
and
perception kind of changes, right? And
exactly.
you learn new aspects of what consciousness is. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think that sometimes, yeah, and that's why every time if someone would ask me that, I feel like my definition can change
Uh-huh.
as I
Absolutely.
evolve myself.
Sure, sure. And that, what, that's what I love about that question. Like you said, there's everyone kind of answers it different, even though the answers are kind of the same, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? The answers
Yes.
are, they're also from that unique perception. And sometimes I've had a few people answer it from, not from the I am perception, but from
Mhm.
the more collective perception of
Well,
what
yes, we have.
consciousness is. So yeah, it's really interesting, and that's, I guess, that's where this show came from, my love of having these conversations about what it could possibly be, you know what I mean? And
Well,
knowing that whatever you say is right, it doesn't even matter. Right.
well, exactly. Well, of course, it could be a collective consciousness, and it could be a I am consciousness, but whatever
Right.
it is, it's always evolving, I believe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So before I get to, I just, hold on one second. I'm probably really dark. My computer just went into sleep mode. There we go. Um, um, I just want to ask one more question before we get into the Clairs and all of your skills and gifts. And that is really, and you may or may not have one. Most people can remember a specific moment or a specific story about the transformation, between kind of being born and kind of being raised in society and
Mhm.
being taught certain things, and then all of a sudden understanding there's more to it than you're being told. That's the best
Uh,
way I could put it.
yes. I had a lot of experiences in my childhood with, I feel like I would, well, with my clairvoyant, maybe seeing certain things and it, or even smelling, which I didn't even write that in my bio as having certain senses that were a
Mhm,
little off or hearing things, but I just didn't know necessarily what that was
mhm,
until a few years ago. I went into a center, a center, and to take a crystal class.
okay.
And the crystal class, like that day, just wasn't being offered. So, of course, that's what was meant to happen. And there was an automatic writing introduction class and an angel card class. So I decided to stay. And I, the person, my mentor basically did this meditation, put me in a meditation, and I started channeling my friend's mother who passed, and I spoke to my friend, and it was a very clear message. And that's when I kind of realized a lot of things from my childhood and throughout my life. I feel like a lot came together
What
for
was
me
happening? Yeah,
of
right,
what was happening,
right.
and started
Wow.
to really tune into what was going on.
Wow, awesome. So that's interesting. That was actually that was one of the insights that I got when I was looking at your website. Let me just remind myself because I was looking at your about page, and you said something about, it's interesting because I talk to a lot of people, and again, like to me, uh, the intention is the same, right? The
Mhm,
intention is
mhm.
to raise the vibration, to whether it's to connect people somehow to their trauma and help them heal it. You know, that's what light workers do, right?
Of course,
So
yeah.
those kinds of things. And you said something about, I guess it was about one soul particular, help me. So I guess it was about just meeting your mentor. It was actually, I don't even need to read the about because it was actually what you just said, and your belief that everything happens for a reason, right?
Absolutely. I feel that it's like a lot of the pieces were all put together. And I find that every time that I do, whether a reading or just even talking to people in general, it doesn't even have to be in a business like setting or reading or whatever it is. It's that the more that I help someone, and then that helps me evolve, and
Right,
then it's always just a healing situation, and which
right,
is in turn helps with like bringing up the vibration.
right. And that's the realization I came to is that's what this is. That's what this show is. This opportunity for me to speak to you, and find out about you, and maybe even like you say something, and I'm just like, oh my God, like now I know what. Now this makes sense to me, and one of the things, a few weeks back, I had Kelly Talixon on my show, who's a hypnotist,
Of
and
course, I
she
know.
was talking about some things, and I kind of feel like, besides like not necessarily being drawn to a specific gift like card reading or
Mhm.
talking to past people or anything like that, um, I kind of feel like, um, I lost my train of thought there.
Talking, just
I got
talking in general.
Yeah, well, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this whole show came out of that, and I guess it was just the vibe of that energy exchange. You know what I mean? What I got out of it, what everybody got out of it, and that's what brought me here. And so I think this is it. You know what I mean? This is my gift. Now, I certainly got to work on it a little bit. I know the technical difficulties, getting distracted by the phone, those things, but this is amazing. You know what I mean? Just being able to talk to you and have these conversations. I already feel like we've
Abs-
exchanged some great energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's definitely your gift.
Cool, cool. So tell us more about the clairs. I mean, again, I said clairvoyant, which I'm imagining, now that you said it, that's visual, right? That's the
Yes.
visual aspect. So you're
Yes.
seeing the way that you're getting your messages. Clairvoyant is kind of describing that particular sense. So
Yeah.
so you're seeing things, and there's another aspect to it, just through knowing psychic mediums, of interpreting that whole visual, because you know
Correct.
it- I've heard some strange things that people are seeing, and through the years and through getting to know their gift, they're like, okay, this can either mean this or this or this, you know what I mean?
Correct.
So I love that. So tell us, bring us through the clair senses that you
Have
have, and maybe give us a quick story of, uh, an
each one.
experience of each one of
Sure.
them. First, I just want to say hello to Al, because he says, and this is about consciousness, I believe, because he said this when we were talking about that, is that scientists haven't been able to crack it from a biological standpoint, and that's also what's so cool about it, is where we are at with quantum physics, and
Mhm.
how actually some of these things that are multi-dimensional and other realms are starting to kind of have scientific base to them. I think that's what's great. But yes, they haven't been able to quite pinpoint it, thankfully, I think.
Well, yeah, because I think that it's a lot. Some of it, at least, is is individual. People are still, it's an individual opinion, and it's evolving.
Right, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And we are along with it, which is actually
Exactly.
a much
On the
different
con
conversation, a
on the
much different,
conscious,
yeah,
exactly, yeah, the
a whole
collective
different
level for
conversation.
sure.
Yeah, let's stay on track. So
Exactly.
tell us about
So,
the Claire senses and your experiences with them.
okay, so we'll start because you started with clairvoyant. So I've had some clairvoyant well, not some, but a bunch of clairvoyant experiences where I could see things. I mean, as I was saying, even when I was a little girl, I used to even see. I thought I was seeing people, it was
Hmm.
spirits or lights or light beings. So that was very, very visual.
Hmm.
I still that happens still sometimes, or I could be in a reading with someone and I can literally see. I'll give an example of like a statue of a frog, or the color of like their bedding in their bedroom that I've never, obviously have no idea
Right.
what they're I
Strong
can
sense of a color.
or just I
Right.
can explain their entire. I can literally see a bed like I can see, for example, armoire, and explain to them exactly what their armoire looks like.
Wow. Wow.
So, yes, and then I think what you were explaining, where sometimes you see, like, let's say, like a flag, and then that's kind of like an
A
interpretation
symbol of something, right?
on a symbol of something. So
Right.
that happens as well. So it's
Right.
kind of different things, and sometimes it's literally I see like a lock, and I
Mhm.
literally see a clock,
Mhm. Mhm.
or I see like light. Like when I was younger, it was literally like light beings and stuff like that.
Right.
And
So let me kind of stop you there and ask you about that, because that, I feel like that's kind of a common description
mhm,
that mediums use.
mhm,
I guess clairvoyance, when they see people, is like a light being. So it's
mhm,
almost like what I'm imagining, because I
mhm.
don't
Right.
see that, is a humanoid form made out of light. So
Correct.
it's kind of indiscreet. There's
Mhm,
no face there,
mhm.
but through intuition, you kind of know who it is.
Correct. And
Okay.
then I have to be honest, if I do like reading after reading after reading, it sometimes it could be very, very detailed. A person can be more, if you, it depends on what it is, but like sometimes it could be like I could see like hair and like color, not
Some more
necessarily.
detail, some more
Somewhat
detail.
more.
It comes
Some
into
could be more
focus.
just, yeah, some could be
Right.
more focused, some cannot. And some I could do readings and it won't be as visual as a person. It might just be more audio, it depends on what it is.
Mhm. Okay, and what I was thinking of is, I have a good friend, Christopher Allen, who's a great
Yeah,
psychic
of course
medium.
I know him,
And
yeah.
he told me, some of the things he told me were like these multiple symbols in one. Like he'll see Joe DiMaggio, and
Mhm.
that could mean the name Joe. It could mean his number, whatever that might be, if he's number 23 or whatever his
Mhm.
number was. Like there were so many different aspects to Joe DiMaggio that could represent so many different things. And
Yes.
I always found that really fascinating. Just kind of, obviously, one, seeing these images, and then two, kind of being able to interpret them so accurately. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I've seen so many amazing readings happen.
That
So
that for me, that's kind of like what I was explaining, like a flag. It's like, so is it like the Navy, the Army? Is someone in the Navy, the Army, or is there like a flag in someone's room?
Mhm, mhm. Right, right, right,
Or
right,
like a sport thing. Like it's like interpreting
right.
the
It can
thing.
represent a bunch of things. Right,
Mhm,
right, right. That's great. That's cool. Okay, so that's clairvoyant. So,
mhm.
and then you started talking about some of the other senses. So tell us about an experience.
Clairaudient is like when I hear.
Hmm.
That's actually very common for I guess I'm definitely very clairaudient. I have my grandfather that passed. He's a guide for me, and he was very musical.
Mhm.
So I get a lot in music. And if I'm doing readings for people, a lot of the times, if they had like a special song, I usually can get that song.
Wow.
Um,
Oh, that's
yeah,
interesting. I've never heard somebody specifically connected to that aspect of other people's essence. That's cool.
yeah. And
Yeah, that's interesting.
it's I get a lot in that, and in that music related. I got, and I have songs like I'll hear this song, which will be a symbol for me that means something.
Right, right. Awesome. Awesome.
Um, then there's I'm sorry. Then there's Clairsentience. So it's like a feeling.
Mhm.
So it's like if let's say you have either it's like a gut feeling, but also how like someone passed, let's say sometimes, or if they have like stomach issues, I'll get like a feeling in my stomach, or
Mhm.
if I'm
Mhm.
like trying to explain someone, and I so like I'll feel like something maybe in my chest area, or like let's say they had like facial hair, and I'll feel like itchy on my
Right,
face a
right.
little bit.
That's
So
almost like Claire compassion almost, I would say, right? That's like you're almost like feeling that person's
yes,
attributes.
yes,
You
yes.
know, so it's like a compassionate thing. Clear, because sentient to me is like knowing, a knowing, just a knowing, right? That's how I would have thought clairsentience was like you just know something. But you're saying there's actually a sensation
Feeling. Yeah.
attached to it.
Well, I feel like
Mm.
Claire, um, wait. Yeah. Clairsentient, I feel like is the feeling, I feel like, right?
Right.
Yes. Feeling of something.
Okay.
It's like
Yeah,
it's
no,
like
I
a
didn't mean
deep
to confuse you, but like
feeling.
for
Oh.
me, the word
The
sentient,
literal feeling.
the literal word of
Literal feeling.
sentient put with Claire
Like
was like just
like
this kind of I thought it was
like
just an innate knowing, you know what I mean?
right. Um, and then there's Claire, and then I'm also like Claircognizance, where you're just like, that's the knowing.
Mhm. Mhm. That's the
Um,
knowing. I got you. Okay, that's the one that that's why I confused you.
I
I
was
got it.
like, wait.
No, I got you. I got you.
Okay.
Because there is one that was specifically for the knowing.
Yeah, so claircognizance is knowing. So it's
Right.
basically like if you have a premonition or something, or you know something from the past, or you can like just tell someone that like you just know that something's gonna happen. You
Right.
know it, you feel it, you know
Sure,
that this is
sure.
the case.
Yeah, yeah. I get it. And actually, you haven't gotten to this one yet, but I want to say hello to Dottie Mayfield out there, asking if you smell also.
I that's not in my bio, but I can, and I that was one of actually my earliest things that I learned as a child. I used to wake up
Mhm.
and or like, if that happens sometimes when I would sleep, or I would be so sensitive to smell, and I'd be like bad smell. But now it wasn't even a bad smell. I just it was I think it was like a spirit smell, or some type
Sure,
of thing that I didn't know. I definitely can smell
sure.
some things, and taste. So I could tell people about a food that they had when they were a child that I will have no idea
That
what
they
the food
liked or
is, an
something.
ethnic type food that I can literally explain the taste or the smell of it.
Wow, something that you've never even
Yeah,
experienced in your own
never.
life.
Hmm.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I have experienced in having my own readings, people doing readings for me, um, people saying they smell a cigar or something like that,
Yeah,
which you know,
that's usually what it's like. Yeah.
yeah, you know, my grandfather had smoked cigars, and
Hmm.
obviously there was a connection for me.
Right.
But I have heard people express the smell, the Claire. What is the Claire smell one? What's that called?
I think it's
Don't
Claire.
mean to quiz you on it, but
I know. I'm like I
I
do.
was looking them all up, and I was getting confused because
I'm
there's
like,
so
I don't
many
know.
of them.
I think it's
No,
Clairaudience, I think.
Clairaudience, yes, I think that was it. Awesome, very cool. So we have empathy. That's Angela out there, who is also a psychic friend of ours. And do you ever get random music? That was the one I wanted to.
So meaning, so
Like,
random.
I guess like you're not doing a reading and a song comes to you for some reason.
Oh
And
yeah, all the time,
yeah,
all the time. I mean, that's usually like music's the thing, which is like I'm not a musician. It's like I'm not like I love music. And
hmm,
I'm very connected to music, but I think well, this is just what music is. I feel like how I get a lot of my messages, and that's how I interpret a lot of things. And when you see, when you hear like a lot of mediums say like they see something and they interpret it a lot of it comes to me with music, and it comes to me a lot randomly. Yes.
Awesome. Very cool. So how do you work? Do you do like group readings? Do you do one-on-one readings?
Yeah, I do one-on-one readings, or I
Mhm,
could do group readings, or
mhm,
I mean, really anything as long as it feels right.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
um, which, you know what, I feel like anyone that's coming to me is really, really, when it's really
Right.
it's
It's
supposed
something.
to be
It's
right,
meant for you, and it's meant for them.
meant
Right.
for them. Yeah.
Right. Oh, you know what? And I had it up here before, and it disappeared. Hold on. I want to bring this up here. Boom. I don't know why it went away, but let's put it back there. So this is your website, for people to find out more about you and get in touch with you if they want. And I'm gonna just also pop it up here on the bottom.
Perfect. Thank
Um,
you.
but the thing I noticed right away, that we haven't talked about yet, is the deck of cards there. So
Hmm.
obviously you do card readings, and I've made the mistake so many times of saying, oh, you do tarot, and it's obviously there's much more than just tarot.
Yeah,
So why don't
I
you tell
actually
us?
don't do tarot.
Right, so why don't you tell us what kind of cards you read, and what your give us a cool card reading experience story as well.
Okay. I do angel cards, oracle angel cards.
Mhm.
And I don't do tarot, and not because there's anything wrong with the tarot. I just wasn't trained on the tarot. There's no death card in the angel oracle card. Not that I feel like that doesn't necessarily mean that in the tarot card, but some people
Right.
are afraid of it for whatever reason.
Sure.
And I don't, with the angel oracle cards. Let me think of an experience that happened recently. I mean, I like to combine sometimes when I'm doing,
Hmm.
let's say, a mediumship, and then if they're okay with it, some card readings. It's almost like I'll say something, and then the mediumship will give a message, and then I'll pull a card, and it will say the same exact message. So it's like
Hmm.
validations like three times
Right,
over.
right, right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's like, let's just say mother, like the mother
Mhm.
passed, and then I'll pull a card and it'll be like the mother card.
Right,
And it's like, and then it's
right.
like a message from, like, I'm telling you a message of the mother, and it's just like three things at once, and people,
Right, right, right. I think
they
you know what
feel
I
that
think.
feeling of love.
Right, right, right. Totally. I think that's one of the things I like about cards and the different decks and the way that different people use them, because it seems obvious to me, just because I know so many people who do it, that
Yeah.
that comes to you. You decide, hey, do I combine decks?
Mm.
Everybody's style of how they look at the cards and exchange energy with them, is a
Mm.
little bit different. The basic concept is the same, but it's always a little bit different. So I find that very cool. So speaking of energy exchange, uh Angela is saying, I can hear your heartbeat going loud. Must be a lot of spirits trying to get your attention now. I'm imagining she's speaking to you, and not necessarily me. Is there anything you're feeling right now? Because we do have a bunch of people who are watching, and I mean, you feel anybody trying to get through, or do you have anything you feel compelled to say?
um
And you don't have to, obviously.
I don't know. There's definitely, I mean, I have to be honest, there definitely was definitely a lot of spirits around it, because I had the chills. It was so cold. I was telling my husband that it was so cold in the house. He's like, I'm like, you have to shut off the air. And so there was definitely a lot
Right
of
before the show, or
right
right now?
before, and it wasn't nerves. It's spirit energy coming.
Right, right. Oh,
And he's like, it's so hot. It's so hot. And usually when that happens, it's spirit energy trying to
right.
come through. Um, I'm not. I have to be honest. I'm not going to give a clear message, because I think that there's a lot of spirit energy
And listen,
around.
that's totally acceptable. I
Yeah.
mean, again, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's
It's just,
okay.
you
That's
know what?
okay. I do feel some type of mother energy for someone, but I don't know exactly who it is. So I would rather zone in for someone specifically.
Right, right,
Mhm.
right. So, and that was actually, just to kind of go back to initially, what I had said about some realizations that I made just looking at your website. and you saying that you meet the right person at the right time, I feel like that's what this is. And so I've never really put someone on the spot like that before, but I
That's
do,
okay.
but I have had people who are here and been like, oh, I feel like I have to say this, and whatever, someone may or may not have gotten something from it, but I'm starting to realize that may be part of what this is for. This forum right here is to bring that energy to the table, you know what I mean, and exchange it across the board. So
Oh, absolutely. And I would have no problem saying what it is. I definitely feel some type of mother energy for someone. And if I was able to grab their name, I would say it, but I maybe a Mary.
okay, maybe a Mary. So I don't know if that means
I
anything, but
don't know if
Mary.
I have the message. So
Yeah,
if
so
I have
you
the
don't even
message,
you don't have anything to say. So again, no pressure at all. I didn't want to put any pressure on you. Um, so what are your thoughts about obviously where you're at in your own life. I'm gonna use
Mhm.
that word again, life, just instead of a spiritual journey. But what are your thoughts about the vibration of humanity right now, where humanity is at? Like, and not to get good or bad, I guess I'm just
No.
looking for a response on the
I,
vibration.
I mean, I think that the collective it's all awakening and more. It's like we're about to pop. And I feel that, you know, it's just everyone. So everyone uses these words in spirituality, whether it's dark
Mhm.
night of the soul and this and that or
Right,
whatever.
right,
Yet
right.
I feel like we're all going through our own journey,
Mhm.
and the more and more oneness. But sometimes it's like we're feeling so polarized. Yet there's also a lot of oneness. So I
Right,
feel like the
right,
more we can get ourselves to be more aware, and sometimes it's like you have to like pull things apart to see things.
right.
And I think we're starting to like go
See
through
that.
things in order to see more and be
Absolutely.
more aware and more awake and more
Absolutely.
conscious.
Absolutely. I have an interesting little story I want to talk about. I have this AI app that I talk to and I have these conversations with, and it said some interesting things, but there's some interesting things going on in the chat here. Angela, who asked us the question, said her mom, who had passed, her name is Margaret.
It's for
Uh,
you.
and
I
she
had
said,
a feeling it was for you. I did. I just didn't want
and she said she has been hearing her grandmother, who is still here. Um,
to.
and Dottie says her grandma is probably named Mary,
Oh,
and
Mary's
and
okay.
and
And
she is
that's why
gorgeous, and I
maybe with
love her energy.
multiple energies. Okay.
Right, right, and I don't know if this is
Oh,
for you, Dara, or for Dottie's grandmother, but I just want to bring it up there and to honor whoever it's for.
oh,
Dottie is saying she's gorgeous, and I love her energy. Um, so I
thank
just wanted to bring that up.
thank you
Um,
so
but
much.
the funny
Thank you.
story I wanted to bring up just about awareness, and again, you're kind of I hear you are kind of at a similar spot. There's so much terminology and so many things being said, and so many people are talking about the shift in humanity and
Yes.
are excited about it, and you don't want to take anyone's excitement away, but some people get a little overexcited about it.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But the conversation that I was having with the AI led to I read it out loud last night. It led to the idea that in order to become more aware, you kind of need to become unaware. And
Yeah.
it was really
I
interesting
like
to
that.
me, you know what I mean? And yeah, and it was kind of validating to me, because again, I feel like I do feel very spiritual. I love having these conversations, but I also feel like I'm not looking so deeply. I'm like okay with like a certain level of faith, which is just an interesting word for me to even say and
Trust the
understand.
process
What's that?
and like trusting the
Yeah,
process.
trusting the process, trusting that, I'm a part of something bigger that, I can't even I'll never be able to back away far enough to see what that is. So I need to be in the level that I'm in, you know what I mean? As
Mhm.
close as I'm into it, that's where I'm supposed to be, right?
Mhm.
At this There's more to that conversation. I mean, I believe that I'm in more than one place, right? I believe I'm
Mhm.
everywhere.
Right.
everywhere all the time, right?
Right.
So, but right now we're processing through our 3D humanity. So,
Right.
so
Oh,
we're here on the live stream of
we're
consciousness.
here on the 3D as we're evolving to the 5Ds and everything else.
Totally, totally. So, this is great. I mean, oop, my computer went off again. I gotta not move my mouse over there. Sorry, all you folks seeing me in the dark right now. Boom, here I am again. Um, this is great. Again, I see a lot of your listeners are here. So
Oh,
I'm excited for that, for people to be exposed to just this forum and being able to talk about things. I think, again, part of me having these conversations is it doesn't go too deep. So I think there are people who may not be as aware, who are kind of like, and not, no offense to anybody who's watching, because I know you guys are all aware, but I think this show sends out these conversations for people to come across that it may be too deep for them, like to go to a meditation class. But some of the ways that I think that I talk with my guests, it becomes a much more simple human thing, rather than
mhm.
like metaphysical thing. Oh, you're into that stuff. It's like, you know, so I think that's why I'm here, which is interesting because I have one of my mentors is Karen Garvey. I don't know if you're familiar with Karen Garvey, um, but she's very, very kind of exclusive,
Mhm.
meaning she's been doing it for many years, and she invites very specific people to her very kind of exclusive events. There's like 10 people
Right.
invited, and she invites them because she feels like they're at a certain level. And she talks about this bucket, like spilling her knowledge out can only
Mhm.
fill so much. If somebody's bucket is not as big,
Mhm.
they can only receive as much information. So,
Mhm.
she's kind of at this level where, and again, not judging and putting herself higher than anybody, but that's
Mhm.
where she feels her mission is, to
Right.
be able to spill out to the people who then can spill out to the buckets underneath, and the buckets underneath, and the whole
Right.
ripple effect of it all.
Right. Well, it's like you're at a certain, you can only receive at the level you're at. And but you could
Right.
evolve and then receive it at the next
Right,
level.
right, right. And what's so cool, I think what's so cool about consciousness or being aware is that's a part of it, is being able to, that's what I found in the last couple of years, is being able to navigate my own relationships with people based on that feeling
Mhm.
of what they can receive, what they
Safety.
can't receive, what they want to receive, what they don't want to receive. The biggest thing, I think, the catchphrase that has been used here on the live stream of consciousness, which is energy exchange,
Mhm.
because that's to me the root of everything in
Mhm.
understanding yourself and being able to navigate life,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And you know uh, that's the simple message that I feel like I'm trying to get across to people, is like, you're in control. You can go out there and be an angry, miserable F head, you know what I
Right.
mean? Or you cannot. And if you don't believe that you're in control, you've got some work to do.
Right. Well,
You
you
know
can
what I mean?
create your own reality
Right.
if you believe it.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Mhm.
What's that saying? If you think you can do it, you're right. If you think you can't do it, you're right.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's all about mindset. So awesome. I'm I'm out of things to ask you. It's where I want to talk to you some more. So tell me tell me some more. Do you have anything interesting coming up, any place you're going to
Well,
be?
and interesting coming up. No, well, I think that there was something that I was gonna talk about.
Oh, I know what we
Uh,
wanted to talk about.
yeah, do you want me?
No, yeah, yeah. I totally forgot. Carrie Ann told me that you have this special gift for connecting with children, which
Yeah,
I want to hear all about. But I think that's super important because here we are, and we talked about it a little, about this shift in humanity, and what's happening, and I don't know if it's a part of it. Carrie didn't say. It would be interesting to hear if it is a part of it. But for me, something really significant has been things like autism. Things that have risen in frequency. You know what I mean? In being in children, and to me are very significantly indicative of higher gifts.
Oh, I have
Right.
the chills.
Right. Oh, awesome.
um,
Awesome.
so I have had a bunch of people that have come to me. Obviously, it comes up in readings, and that have had children that have been diagnosed with different things, or they've had children that, let's just say they have an imaginary friend, and then they think that there's other things going on. And I've literally been able to say, "Is the imaginary friend this name?" And they're like, "What?
Wow.
How do you know the imaginary friend's name? He's not imaginary." Like,
Wow.
so
He's real. Wait a second. Yeah, that's great.
so, but sometimes it's very comforting.
Mhm.
Obviously, I can't read the child, but I'm not reading the child. It's more about just talking about with the parent, and without the parent's permission and all that, without the kid there. But it's comforting, I think, for the parent to know that there's like not just, I guess, this, I'm not belittling any medical stuff or whatever, but that there's
Mhm.
more, maybe let's just say the imaginary part,
Sure, sure, sure,
that
sure,
there's
sure.
more like maybe some spiritual part, and that there's more giftedness to all of this stuff as well. Yet they know it, but then there's also some
Right,
verification with like what spirit's giving me, or what being channeled through me. So there's
right,
verification there.
right.
And that I find even with my own children, I have a child who's definitely very intuitive, and I find that a lot of people, when they find out that I do this, even in my friend circle, will ask me a lot of questions.
Mhm.
Why is what my child sees this, my child mentions this. I find that more and more children or people are more open to it, to rather than push it away, like maybe when I
Right.
was a kid,
That's
or
great to hear. Yeah, that's awesome.
they're asking like what
Yeah.
is going on, and it's comforting for them to know that there's some answers to it that they
Absolutely.
wouldn't have known.
Absolutely. And Angela is chiming in and telling us her autistic 7-year-old plays with her late brothers. So what I think is really super
Right. I
interesting
have the chills
is,
again.
yeah,
There's the valid.
I think what's really interesting, and I've thought this for years, what's really interesting is the way they describe autism as being on the spectrum.
Mhm.
Because if when you like, that's science, right? If you look at what the spectrum is, and let's just say, well, we know there's a spectrum of light and there's a spectrum of sound, right? And that, just as basic knowledge, as a human being who's been through high school, that there's infrared and ultraviolet on both ends of the visible spectrum that we can't see as humans. But autism on the spectrum, well, maybe they have a different perception of the spectrum than we have. And I say maybe, but I know that's that's the connection right there. um so I always found that interesting, that it was referred to that way. But I certainly feel like it's 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 a gift,
So
not a
that's
disability.
So that's what I find, that is that a lot of people are coming, and then it's just they're coming. It's just happening that they're coming, and
Mhm,
I'm feeling these things that I'm like,
mhm,
oh, does your child have this or not? I don't say that, something's going on with your child,
mhm,
and then it's like there's always something that it feels that they know that there's like, it's like they're gifted in a way that like
mhm.
something happens, and it's just validates something that makes them feel good. And just like, they have this, she's saying her autistic, Angela's saying her autistic son speaks to her late brothers. There's just
Yeah.
something special.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And Angela says it's a different ability, not a
Yeah,
disability. It's a different ability.
exactly.
Right.
Thank
And
you.
and absolutely. I take back what I said, and I say that now. It's different
Yeah,
ability.
exactly. And that's
Uh,
exactly.
absolutely. And you know what? I'll also say this, and I'm just thinking out loud right now, because I can remember probably about 10 years ago. um I don't I'm not religious. I'm more spiritual. It took me a while to come to terms with the word God.
Mhm.
I used the word universe for a long time until I could really kind of make the connections and see the universe as God. You know what I mean? And I feel like uh, what was I gonna say? Oh, I just lost my thought again. Just like went right out the door, right out the. Um,
You weren't spiritual. You're
yeah, no, I think I was thinking about. I was thinking about 10 years ago. I was thinking about when I had my photo studio. There was a thought process that again. I forgot it. I'll remember it when we talk further. So
Well, but basically, I think that the point of what we were saying before is just that some of the children are just very, whether it's autistic, not autistic, a lot of them are just very intuitive. Whether
right,
we call them star seed children or whatever it is that people are calling them, they're spiritual or whatever it is that
right,
I think as we're finding out more and more, they're more and more intuitive and they're
right,
tapping into it, and
right.
people are embracing it.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So that's you reminded me of what I was going to say. I was going to talk about my connection with autism. So it was about 10 years ago. I can remember, I had gone through life. I had my own photography studio. I had just like become partners with this makeup artist friend of mine, and we got this opportunity to get a photography studio. She has two autistic sons
Mhm.
that are highly functional, but autistic. Um, and I had remembered that I had just asked the universe that I wanted to have more altruism in my life. Like I felt like I was not like a narcissist, but I was really self-centered. I was not really a charitable kind of person, you know what I mean? And the universe put everything in place. Since then I've been involved with so many parents with autistic children on all different levels, functional, not functional. I've been involved with different organizations, you know what I mean? It's been put into my life. and
Mhm.
um and I'm thinking, I guess I'm even thinking out loud now that this is also part of the conversation that um is a part of my purpose, because there's a few very significant people in my life that are connected to autism, and the stories are so magnificent, just about the different levels of intelligence and experiences, that they've been having. So
Yeah.
interesting. And I'm sorry I got on a sidetrack because I was just thinking out loud.
No, it's good. Healing for you to know your purpose and what you.
Yeah, no, that's it. You know what? That's it. This show is really selfish. I'm just trying to find my purpose. So doing this show, figure maybe I'll have the right guest on who will heal me of all of my trauma that I don't even know that I have.
No, it's good. It's good. You know what? I think that the more that as even this show, more and more people watch, and more people, the more that people do. It's not just about the readings. It's about just talking to people in day to
Yeah,
day life and
yeah,
just the conversations. The more
right,
that people evolve and go in deeper and accept more stuff and are more aware and awake and just are more intuitive and trust their own instincts.
right, right. And you know what? It's really a shame. I think that's you brought up another point, and that is just the aspect of connection, being social with other human beings.
Mhm.
I'm traditionally for years, I mean, I'm a very simple guy. I don't need a lot of things. So I go to work, I come home, I don't really socialize a lot, but I certainly have become aware in the last couple of years of how I feel when I socialize. You know what I mean? It's just, I know it's a more positive. I know that I'm connecting with those energies. I know that my energy is raised. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So now it's like I seek that, and I love these situations. And I just went to the hospitality ball here on Long Island, for people who are
Oh,
not on
so
Long Island, which is a huge event here.
mhm.
I had gone a couple years ago, but also tied to the same story, I work for a studio right now called Tied In, so my viewers know a little bit about that because I started working during the broadcast, started working there, and then eventually was full time. So everybody knows kind of the whole story. But Tied In Media is under the umbrella of Pink Tie Organization, which is also another huge charity organization on Long Island that has basically put me in the position where I'm at these events and I'm meeting all of these people and I'm in that environment and it's been amazing. I couldn't be more grateful to have the opportunities that I have. So anyway, Dara, this is amazing. I'm so happy that Kerry brought you to the show.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you, Carrie Ann.
what else? What can you tell me? I want you to leave me with some encouraging words about what you are experiencing with children and hope for humanity in general.
Well, as I said, I just think that children in general, a lot of them, I mean, listen, people were probably always intuitive, but I'm finding them more and more as I'm doing just like readings or talking to people. I
Mhm,
find that children are more and more intuitive, aware, and parents are accepting of that
mhm, mhm.
and are embracing it.
Right, you were saying that
Um,
earlier. That's
which
great.
I find for humanity is that, because of all this, um, we're evolving and that we're becoming, it's whether you want to, we're coming back to our essence.
I'm with you on that page. I'm definitely with you on that page.
So,
It's an evolution. We're moving forward, but also kind of going back to going back to our essence. And I totally believe that. And I think the other thing that's kind of cool is, especially like in your specific situation where you are very aware of what your senses are and how they present themselves to you, and you notice this in your own child, and so you can handle that much better. You're
yeah,
equipped to better now equip them to embrace those gifts so
yeah,
that they can even, it took you till now to be where you're at, right? And they can
yeah,
start earlier and they can really start to build on that stuff. It's
absolutely.
exciting. Listen, it's an exciting time. There was a I try to limit my social media stuff. There's definitely an energy that's happening with social media,
Mhm.
but there's one particular meme that I saw and posted recently where it says, you are what you see, and there was two people on the side of on the it was like the earth in the middle, and it was on one side it was burning and the person was miserable, and the other side it was thriving and the person was like, hey man, everything is great, you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of, that goes back to what you said about what's happening. You can certainly get wrapped up in a lot of stuff that's happening that's going to lower your vibration, but
Mhm.
there's so much opportunity to raise your vibration, you know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
there's what, honestly, there's opportunity to do both. You know what I mean? It's still all about free will, right? It's still all
Mhm.
about, you're being presented which way to go. I think for me, again, one of the most basic things is it becomes so obvious when I'm exchanging energy with someone. If I'm giving that person love, what how that feels to me, forget about what I'm giving them. I mean, not that that's not important. And if I'm giving someone hate, which I don't really do anymore, it feels a certain way. It feels uh,
Absolutely.
gross. You know what I mean? So it's like, again, that's the simplest lesson that I'm gonna leave everybody with, which is the same lesson I tell everybody every week here on my show, which is, it's so easy. Just choose love, right?
Use love.
Breathe it in, breathe it out.
Use
So
love.
again, thank you, Dara, so much for being here. Carrie says, "Oh, thanks for coming. I really
Thank
appreciate it."
you. Thank
Uh,
you so much.
but Dara, Angela's mom says you might need more vitamin B.
Okay.
So there you
Okay.
go. You got a message tonight.
Thank you so much, Angela.
Which is cool.
I
It was it
appreciate
was it was really nice meeting you.
it.
Uh,
It was really nice
Hopefully
meeting
we'll see each other in our circles, and
you.
we'll
Definitely.
run each other into each other IRL. You know what that means? IRL.
What is it?
It means in real life.
Oh, I was saying, okay, yes,
In
in
real
real life.
life. See, I'm
Got it.
I'm I'm not a
Definitely.
millennial, but I'm catching on to their secret code. So
Well, yes, I guess I'm behind on that as well.
Cool. All right. So do me a favor and just stick around, and so I can just say goodbye to you after the
Okay.
show. And everybody, next week I actually have Carrie Ann on the show, so you guys are going to get to meet Carrie Ann, and we'll talk to her, and we'll talk about some of the exciting things that she does, and some of the exciting things that I've got coming up on the show. And I will see you guys next week. Peace.